Informally start the session. Good morning, one and all. On this lovely Sunday morning, I, Dr. Shalini Gautam, Associate Professor, DME, would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. The basic purpose of this webinar is to facilitate students like you to take the informed decision regarding their career. The students today have wide range of career options from which they can choose. They can become the budding lawyers, they can join the media industry, managers, engineers, doctors. Sky is the limit. So keeping this in mind, today in this webinar, we are going to talk about the various options that a student would have when he opts for the Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, which is an A-grade state university. So before we start, I would like to personally welcome Mrs. Nidhi Nijavan ma'am, Principal, Mount Litera Z School, Ghaziabad. She is an academician with a legacy of 25 years and worked in the elite organizations like Global Indian International School, Vasant Valley, Presidium, St. Xavier's, Army School, and so on in the leadership roles at various levels. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for all the support. I would also like to welcome Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami, Director DME. Sir has over 24 years of experience in teaching and administration and holds a PhD degree from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. So without much ado, I would request Sir to please start with his presentation.
Okay, so I'll share my screen and start thereof. So at the outset, let me clarify the purpose of this presentation. The purpose is dissemination of information, and we are here today representing this great university which you are seeing on the screen. This is Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. It's located in Dwarka. Now, to start with the images of the university, now I'll tell you what we are going to discuss in the coming 25 minutes. It's not going to be a very long presentation. So 5 things we are going to discuss today. First is about the university. Obviously, students need to know what this university is. Then the courses in which the students will be taking admission after their school. The admission process, yes, everything is online there. The fee structures, obviously, students need to know, the parents need to know about the money which they will be investing, not paying, right? And then lastly, I will be discussing about the career scope of all the professional courses which we will be discussing today. Okay, so having talked about these, the roadmap of today's presentation. First, what is IP University? So it's a university established by Delhi government in 1998, and it is the first university established by Delhi government. When I say first, then the question arises that, oh, University of Delhi is so old. But then, my dear students, universities are of 4 categories: the central universities, the state government universities, the deemed universities, and the private universities. So University of Delhi is a central government university, right? So when Delhi became a partial state, then this was the first university to be established in 1998. Now let us talk about the rankings. Yes, when we talk about rankings, there is always a question mark. Why? Because, you know, rankings, people believe that they are manipulated and this, that, various things are there. So how do we believe the rankings, or what kind of rankings I should discuss with you today? Well, the kind of rankings which I am discussing with you today are those which are provided by authentic government agencies. So there is a NIRF, there's an agency called NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework. And out of 875 universities, like when we include all those, central, state government, private and deemed, how many universities are there in our country? 875. So take the figure as 900. Okay. Now, out of 875, what is IP University's rank? Well, it is ranked 95th. So in a way, we can understand this point by saying that it is among the top 10% or 11% universities in our country, right? This is the standing of IP University. The NIRF also ranks universities in terms of its professional courses or other courses. So when it comes to engineering, the rank is 86th, which means IP University again stands among the top 10% universities in our country. All the universities taken together, 875 universities taken together, IP University stands among the top 10%. Well, the objective of this presentation is not to blow the trumpet about IP University, but simply to provide you correct and factual information. When it comes to business management courses like BBA, the rank is 57th, which means among the top 5% in this country. So this is about the rankings, and NIRF is a government agency which provides authentic rankings. There's another agency called NAC, and NAC has got, there's a different way in which NAC ranks universities and colleges. So those gradings are like A, B plus, C plus, C, something like that. So there again, IP University has got a A ranking. Now there is another question. While you go for admission to foreign universities, then international recognitions are required. For that, there is something called AIU, Association of Indian Universities. So any university which is member of AIU, its degrees are recognized throughout the world. So obviously, IP University, being a government university, has got membership of AIU. Now, what is IPU? IPU itself is a central body, and it is comprised of around 95 colleges which are located in Delhi and NCR. Now, when I say NCR, it includes colleges in Noida, in Greater Noida, the school is located in Ghaziabad. So even Ghaziabad is part of NCR. So colleges located in Gautam Budh Nagar, in Ghaziabad, in Gurugram, all these colleges are part of IP University. So what I'm trying to tell is IP University does not affiliate colleges only in Delhi. It affiliates colleges in Delhi and NCR, which includes Ghaziabad, which includes Noida, Gautam Budh Nagar, Faridabad, Gurugram, all these districts surrounding Delhi. Okay. So that's about IP University. So the first part of our presentation is complete. It has got around 80 courses about which we'll talk today. And yes, students, 80,000, it's a large university now. Now coming to the point that there are two major universities in Delhi. One is the University of Delhi, second is IPU. So are these two universities competing with each other? The answer is no. Why? Because IPU is all about professional courses, while University of Delhi is all about academic courses. So before going ahead, we need to understand the difference between an academic course and a professional course. So let us devote 2 minutes to understand the difference. Now the difference is very simple. An academic course like MA History or MA Sociology or BA History Honors or BCom Honors or BA Eco Honors, these are academic courses, right? While courses like BTech, Hotel Management, BBA, Law, these are professional courses. So what is the difference? The difference is that an academic course provides you knowledge and knowledge and knowledge. The objective is, the output is knowledge enhancement. Yes, if I'm doing BA Political Science Honors or BA Eco Honors, my knowledge will be enhanced, but I'm not trained for a particular profession. I'm not being trained for any specific particular profession. While talking about the professional course, a professional course gives you knowledge. Second, how to apply that knowledge. So skills, and the most important part, attitude. I'll be talking about these in a little while. And when we get knowledge, skills, and attitude, what is the output? The output is placement. Output is job. So to summarize, I can say that academic course aims at increasing your knowledge, while a professional course is simply a training for a specific profession. Say, for example, BBA LLB or BA LLB. So they are training you for becoming an advocate. BBA, it's training you for becoming a manager. BHMCT, it's training you for becoming a hotel management professional. BTech, it's training you for becoming an engineer. On the other hand, any academic course will not train you for any specific profession. Okay, so the point is that University of Delhi is all about academic courses. University of Delhi does not have BTech or such courses, while IPU is all about professional courses. So it's like two sides of the coin. Two universities major in Delhi having around 90, 100 colleges. One is about professional courses, another is about academic courses. So they do not compete with each other. But then the point is, which courses are in demand, professional or academic? Well, my dear audience, I must tell you that with the kind of changes which are happening in our economy, with liberalization, privatization, and globalization, we find that the government sector is shrinking while the private sector is expanding. And yes, private sector, be it IT sector or banking sector or whatever, they need people who are trained, who are ready to work. They need people who have done professional courses, not people who have done academic courses. So now, next we come to the second part of the presentation, which is about the courses. But before that, I'll show you something very interesting, because whenever we talk about any college or university, then we are interested in knowing that who are the great people, who are the notable alumni who have completed their courses from these universities, right? Now, when I am talking about IP University, you can recognize the alumni. Well, the first alumni is the favorite of your principal, Nidhi Nijavan ma'am. I think Nijavan ma'am, you must be a fan of Tapsi Pannu. She did her BTech Computer Science from IP University. And yes, not to speak about her movies. They have been super duper hit movies and very, very theme specific movies. So she did her BTech in computer science from IP University itself.
Yeah. My own son did his BTech from IP, Maharaja Agrasen.
Okay. So second is Mr. Gaurav. He is also an acclaimed author, and he has written bestsellers like God of the Salid and Gone Are the Days. Then the deputy leader of Congress in the Lok Sabha, Mr. Gaurav Gogoi, he again did BTech from IPU in electronics. And again, the last is a film personality. She did her bachelor's in journalism and mass comm from IP. And you must have heard the names of movies like Masan or Zuba or Gangs of Wasipur. Obviously, everyone has heard about these movies. So all these movies were produced by none other than a production house owned by Guneet Monga, who is an alumni of IP University. Okay, now we come to the point about the professional courses which are being run by IPU. Now, see, while we talk about professional courses, obviously there's a link given here which will be provided to you in the chat box. Students, while we talk about professional courses, the first question which comes to your mind is that which discipline is required for doing a particular course. So I have divided these courses into categories. The first category is stream neutral courses. When I say stream neutral, what does it mean? It simply means that you may have done commerce or arts or humanities or even vocational courses at your 12th. You may have your mathematics or biology or anything in your 12th. You are eligible to take admission in these courses. Yes, 50% in 12th remains a quintessential eligibility. Yes, it's a sine qua non, means it's an essential eligibility when we talk about admission to any course at IPU, right? Except BTech, wherein the eligibility given by AICT is 45% only. So there's a further relaxation of 5% when we talk about BTech. So talking about the stream neutral courses, well, we have BA LLB, which is a 5-year integrated course. We have BBA LLB, which is again a 5-year integrated course. Bachelor of Arts in Journalism and Mass Comm, we call it BJMC. Then BBA, it's Bachelor of Business Administration. And then BHMCT, which is Bachelor of Hotel Management and Catering Technology. All these are stream neutral courses, which simply means that you may have anything at your 12th. You are eligible for admission to these courses, or these courses welcome students from each and every stream. You may have done your 12th from vocational courses, vocational subjects also. You are eligible for these courses, right? Well, students, just to conclude this slide, like BLLB, BBLLB, these integrated courses have become popular. Rather, I must say that IPU is known for these courses because these courses give you 2 degrees together, plus they save 1 year. So if you do BBA and then LLB, it takes 3 plus 3, 6 years. While if you do BBA LLB, it saves 1 year and you get 2 degrees in 5 years, right? So that is the reason why these integrated courses have become popular. So that's about the stream neutral courses. Now there are courses which require specific disciplines in 12th class. For doing BTech or engineering, you do need to have mathematics, PCM as we call it, physics, chemistry, maths at your 12th. Similarly, for architecture also, you need PCM in your 12th. For biology students, physics, chemistry, biology, yes, Bachelor of Pharmacy, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. These are the courses which do need bio in your 12th class. So that's in brief about the courses. Well, as I said, there are around 80 courses, but in this presentation, I have not discussed courses like MBBS or yoga or these courses because the list is very long. There are around 80 courses. Primarily, these are the courses. So to conclude the discussion on the courses, professional courses at IPU, I say that there are the stream neutral courses like hotel management, BBA, BBLLB, etc. And then there are courses which need mathematics, primarily engineering and architecture. And then there are courses which need biology, right? That's all about the courses. Now moving on, the admission process. Yes, this is something which is of immediate interest to students in class 12th and for students who are in 11th or 10th or 9th. Soon you would be needing this admission process. Well, students, let me tell you, IPU is a university which is highly digitized. When it came to digitization, even in the pro-COVID period, IPU University was a completely digitized university. So these days, of course, in the post-COVID era, even the exams are held online. And while I don't know I should say or not, but while CBSE it avoided the online mode of exam, and it went for a formula and all that. Madam Nijaman may not agree with me, but yes, ma'am, I do criticize CBSE for this point, that they should have gone for an online mode I can tell you IPU shifted to an online mode, and it's a very, very successful mode.
Sir, I also agree. I also agree.
Yeah, so because there's a point here, like JEE is an exam which is conducted by CBSE. There also around 12 lakh students appear, and in CBSE 12th also there are around 12 lakh students. So I sincerely wish CBSE would have conducted online exams, and that would have benefited you, my dear students, I can tell you, because these formulas are little complicated, and good students lose out when these formulas are used. Means that's my opinion. Okay. So this is the link when we talk about the admission process. Uh, as I said, IPU is completely digitized. The admission process is fully digitized. You may go to this link and register yourself. Now, there's an important point here. Students, if you are interested in engineering, then IPU has shifted to JEE. IPU does not, repeat, does not conduct its own entrance when it comes to engineering, architecture, or law courses. So what does it do? It considers the scores of the national level tests. So in engineering, we have JEE. Then for law, we have CLAT. For architecture, we have NATA. While for other courses like BBA, hotel management, journalism, IPU conducts its own entrance exam, right? So for engineering, architecture, and law, IPU does not, repeat, does not conduct its own entrance exam. It considers the scores of the national level exam. So these national level exams are very fair and they are completely online. So JEE, this time the government went with a very wonderful option. They said that JEE will be held 4 times. So there is no question of any student missing the JEE exam. Students, 2 times it has already been held, and another 2 times JEE is still to be held. So those who are interested in engineering, you can fill the JEE form. That is mandatory for any admission in IPU. Similarly, for law, you need to appear at CLAT, and for architecture at NATA. While for courses like BBA, hotel management, and journalism, IPU will conduct its own entrance exam. But in either case, you need to register yourself for IPU by paying 1200 rupees. That is the fee. So while you register yourself, you are registering yourself for counseling and the entire admission process. Today is 10th or 11th. Today is what? Today is 11th. 4 more days to go for IPU registration. 15th July is the last date. So you can simply go to the link, click, fill your particulars. They'll not ask you for the 12th result because everyone knows that the 12th result is yet to come out. So there's a tab called appearing. You click that appearing tab and register yourself for this IPU, university. I should not say in this presentation that this last date of 15th July may be extended, because in case it is not extended, you will say that I gave a wrong advice. Means it may be extended, but the point is that you have 4 more days to go. Register yourself, pay 1200 rupees, and then your job is done. Okay. Now comes a very important point in this presentation. Because of COVID, IPU has given a special provision in this year that you may simply visit a college and take the admission. So we call it on-the-spot admission, or visit and admit, or instant admission, with whatever name you would like to call it. But yes, it is a special provision. So whichever is your nearby college, say you live in Ghaziabad, so there may be some college in Noida which is close to you. You simply visit that college, and the college people will guide you further, and they can also give you on-the-spot admissions after, say, some interview or whatever. But please mind it, even for instant admissions, registration for IPU is a must. It is mandatory. Okay, so that's about the admission process. Oh, what is this? Money is not raining. No, money is not raining. So what we are going to talk about now? Well, students, now we are going to talk about the fee structures at IPU, right? Well, it's a government-run university, and therefore the fee structures are not taxing. They are not exorbitant. They are not like private universities. I can't name the private universities in this presentation, but I can tell you, if you name any private university and the fee structure is much, much higher than this one. Say, for instance, law course, the fee is simply 80,000 per year. For engineering, it may be 1 lakh. For hotel management, it may be 1 lakh. For journalism, it may be 90,000. For BBA, around 1 lakh. So the point is what? The point is that with 80,000 to 1,10,000 per year, IP university courses have a fee structure which may be equal to or little lower than what you are paying at present in your schools, right? So with that kind of fee structure, IP university is providing. Another important point that because it's a government university, there are no hidden charges. It's not possible that tomorrow any IP university college says that, okay, you pay for exam or for placement or for picnic, nothing doing. This amount, what you deposit in the beginning, is for a complete year. So that's the beauty of studying in a government university. So that's about the fee structures. Yes, it's your parents' hard-earned money. So return on investment is something which you must understand. Say, for example, you are taking admission in a private university wherein the fee structure is around 2 lakh per annum, while in a IP affiliated college, it is 80,000 per annum. So you have to compare. You have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages. You have to weigh the outputs. If you find that the education is better and at the end of the course you find that the placement is better, then why not go for a IPU course which will provide you better return on investment, right? That's how the story is. Well, scholarships again is a question which is coming up in my presentations. So Delhi government is, students, you may be knowing, Delhi government is the richest government in our country, and the parameter, the measuring rod is per capita income. Yes, while we talk about per capita income, government of Delhi, we call it the government of NCT, National Capital Territory. It's the richest government in our country, and students get advantage of that. How do they get the advantage? In terms of scholarships, I can tell you IP University, because it's a Delhi government university, it has got brilliant scholarship schemes. These schemes are, I'll say, magnanimous, right? They are very generous schemes. So there's a very popular scheme called Merit Cum Means. Please remember, 60% and no reappear, scholarship is yours. No filter. Whosoever applies gets these scholarships, and then there are slabs. If you are a ration card holder, 100% of tuition fee the Delhi government is paying is going to pay for you. If the annual income is up to 2.5 lakhs, 50% of tuition fee, and if the annual income is above 2 lakhs, means up till 6 lakhs. 6 lakhs means 50,000 per month. So if 50,000 per month is the annual family income, then 25% of the tuition fee in your case will be paid by the Delhi government. Then there is another important scheme which we call EVS, EWS, economically weaker section. So there is in this category also you can get good number of scholarships. But I believe Merit Cum Means is a very popular scheme. Whosoever applies gets the scholarship. It's not like 200 people will apply and 20 are going to get. So that's the beauty of studying in a university which belongs to a state which is the richest in this country. Okay, moving ahead. The last leg of our presentation today, students, what is the scope after these professional courses? Yes, let me first start with the law courses, BA LLB or BBA LLB. The scope of law, I can categorize it into 3 parts. The first scope is you start your own legal practice, right? So when we talk about Ram Jethmalani or Nani Palkhiwala or Abhishek Manu Singhvi or Salman Khurshid, these all are great, practicing lawyers, and the fee which they charge, I can't quote it here. It's a great fee which they charge, but they are the people who are at the top level of this country. So first option after a law degree is you can start your own practice. Second option is you can join a law firm, you can get a job there, right? And the third is you can join the government sector. So while we talk about the government sector, yes, judiciary is a good option. Uh, Large number of vacancies are there in the judiciary. So you can become a magistrate. We call it civil judge junior division. So that is another option for which students prepare a lot. Then there are so many other government jobs like banks, like real estate companies. Means they need legal advisors, or they need legal officers. Like with large number of NPAs, banks need large number of lawyers. So this is the scope of students who do law. One thing I must tell you, students, politics is another good option for lawyers. You know why I am saying this? You look around the world, you look from India to America, whether it is Barack Obama or it is Kamala Harris or it is Mahatma Gandhi or Jawaharlal Nehru or Arun Jaitley, whosoever, all of them are advocates. So I believe for lawyers, politics seems to be a very good profession, because while we see the political arena throughout the world, we find majority of them are lawyers. Okay, so that's the scope of the law courses. Coming to journalism and mass comm, my dear students, I can tell you, when COVID came, people said that DJMC is gone. This course is a failure. But I can tell you the way things changed. Theaters were closed. Large functions were not being held. But then came the OTT, over the top. And it is such a huge success that DJMC has got a great scope, where in the previous scenario, 200 people were employed. We find that in the OTT kind of scenario, more than 1,000 people are employed. So the employment rate has increased a lot with OTT platforms coming in, whether it is Netflix or Sony Live or Zoom, which we are using today. We find that people from journalism and mass comm are behind whatever is being produced. So OTT is a great platform, and that is how I define the scope of a journalism and mass communication course. Coming to BBA, which is a management course, I can divide the placement scope in two categories. One is the traditional areas and second are the new areas. So traditional areas are what? Marketing, finance, and HR. While we talk about the new areas, retail, aviation, you name power sector, you name any sector, and you need managers. Students, we do live in a mismanaged world. And who can manage that? Managers. Yes, that is the importance of a BBA course. And after BBA, you can do MBA, or you can even directly join a job after BBA. Coming to hotel management and catering technology, well, in a previous webinar, this question came up that, sir, the scope of hotels and tourism is gone. But I can tell you, students, the scope is not gone. Why? Because recreation is something which is a need. It's a basic need. And therefore, people are not visiting hotels. People are not going out for tours in the present scenario. But do you think we can remain at home for long? So those who are taking admission in 2021 in a hotel management course, or those who will take admission in 2022 or 2023 or 24, while they'll be completing their course, I can tell you this industry will be doing very well. And whenever there is a crisis, industries come up with a new innovation. See how it happened with the media industry. In the media industry, we found that theaters are closed, no functions are happening, no IFA awards, no Oscars. But then how the OTT changed the entire game. And then the scope has become even much larger. So therefore, the hotel industry will also renovate itself, and it's going to come up in a new way. I believe like Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson, they have gone for a space tour, and they are going to return in a day or two. So that is how new innovations are going to come up, because recreation is something without which human beings, like we are social animals, we can't live without recreation. That's a basic need. So this industry, I agree, is facing a crisis in 2021 in the post-COVID era. But while students who will take admission now, while they'll be graduating, this industry will be in a very good shape. It's a 4-year course, BHMCT, run by IPU. Well, coming to BTech, my dear students, there's a catch here. And what is the catch? The catch is that, technology is something which is pattern based. There are many patterns. The patterns are like this, that say at one point in time in the post independence era, the infrastructure was growing, everything was going very well. So the demand for civil engineers was great. Then India is a power deficient country. We found that the demand for electrical engineers was great. Then the demand for mechanical engineers. India went in a big way for manufacturing. The demand for mechanical engineers was great. But then what happened after 1990? The IT revolution, and as on date, civil engineers not in good demand, electrical engineers not in good demand, mechanical engineers, yes, post-COVID era, the demand is subdued, but computer science engineers, IT engineers, electronics engineers, great demand. So while I'm talking about engineering students, I must give my opinion to you. I must tell you that yes, when I talk about BTech, computer science is a field wherein large number of placements are going to come up in the coming 50 years. I'm saying 50 years. Why? Because in the post-COVID era, digitization is going to be done in a big manner. And who's going to do that digitization? The BTech computer science people. Who else can do that? So BTech computer science or electronics, these students are going to take ahead the drive of digitization, right? So this is about engineering. Architecture, again, I must say that in the post-demonetization era, in the post-COVID era, architecture is facing a slowdown. But yes, students will take admission today in 2021 or 22 or 23. While they'll be completing their architecture in 5 years, the demand for housing industry, the demand for infrastructure is going to pick up again. Why? Because in a country like India with 140 crore population, we have 18% of the world population. So the demand for housing cannot go down, right? We need more and more houses. So therefore, architecture may be facing a slowdown today, but those who will take admission today, while they'll be completing their course in 2026 or 7 or 8, architecture will again be doing well. Talking about the biology-based courses, yes, B Pharma, nursing, IPU, obviously IPU has got MBBS and courses in yoga, which I have not discussed in this presentation because there was a time constraint. So the courses after biology, again, I must say that in the COVID, governments were caught napping. Why? Because the governments were not investing in the health sector. So I believe that in the post-COVID era, investments in health sector are going to grow. At least I hope so. I wish so. Governments may not spend, like in the past, they have not spent, they've ignored the health sector. So in the post-COVID era, health sector may do well, governments may invest. And when governments will invest, this sector is also going to see a rise. Okay, so that's about the scope of the professional courses at IPU. And now I know the question which is coming in your mind, students, which course is best for me? And how do I answer that? How do I answer this question? Should I tell you that, okay, you do this course, this is good for you, that is bad for you? No, students, I will not be judgmental. Rather, I'll show you this. We call it, this diagram is showing what? Can anybody guess? Yes, this diagram shows that in any given course, 25% of students are very successful, 25% are not successful, and in between there are 50%. See in this diagram, see the in between area. That's a huge area. So 50% students, you do any course, you are going to be success. You will not be very successful, but you are going to be successful. You are going to be a happy man or happy woman if you will do any course. I can tell you, students, 30% of IITians in this country belong to the failure section. Why? Means there may be any reason, but the point is that whichever course you may do, you may be very successful, you may be successful, you may not be successful. So it depends on what? It depends on what? Success depends on what? Should I give you the formula for success? Well, even God can't give you the formula for success, but you have that formula. What is that formula? This is the last slide of this presentation. Well, the formula is very simple. I remember a dialogue from Rajesh Khanna's movie Bawarchi, that it is so simple to be happy. It's so simple to be happy, but it is so difficult to be simple, right? So yes, the formula for success is very simple, but it is difficult to implement this formula. So what is this formula? The formula is simple, students. If you have the right set of knowledge, the right set of skills, and the right set of attitude, jobs are waiting for you. The entire world is waiting for you. There is no dearth of jobs for you. With that, I come to the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for being a very good audience. Now we can take up the questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Dear students, the chat is open now. You can ask your questions. You can write in the chat box. In case you have any questions regarding the admission process, courses, if you have any questions, please write it in the chat box. We can take it up right now. Students, you are requested to please type your questions. Okay, sir, we have got the first question in which the student is asking if there are any reservation policy in IP University.
Yes. Any government-run university or even a private university is bound to follow all the reservation guidelines, be it reservation for OBC or SC or ST or physically handicapped or ex-servicemen, or there are state-wise quotas also. So yes, IPU being a government university is bound by each and every reservation guideline.
Sir, another question is some budding astronomer. He is asking, are there any courses for astronomy?
Well, for astronomy, there are specific institutes. In Delhi also we have such institutes, but IPU is not having any course in astronomy as of now.
Sir, another question is, like, you have spoken about the scholarships. So the student is asking, is there any COVID related scholarship?
Definitely,
probably
there are
the families who are affected by COVID.
Yeah. So recently, I saw a notice from IPU that all the colleges were asked to send the data of students who have suffered or whose families have suffered due to COVID, and the university is awarding scholarships which are specifically for students who are whose families have been affected by COVID. Other than this, the colleges are also offering scholarships for students wherein the earning members have suffered a loss due to COVID, right?
Right, sir. Another question from Mayank. He is asking, can a student of PCMB also prepare for BTech?
PCMB means maths and bio both?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Obviously, because the requirement is PCM only, B is extra.
Yeah. Okay. So another question related with scholarship only. The student Siddharth is asking, can a student of Ghaziabad domicile avail the benefits of scholarships?
Why not? You can avail once you are part of IP University. You know, universities do not discriminate on the basis of domicile. They cannot. Once you are studying in IP University, your whatever may be your domicile, you are student of a Delhi government-run university. So definitely scholarships are there for you. The university will never discriminate that they'll give scholarships to students who belong to Delhi or those who do not belong to Delhi. It's not possible. So any student who's studying in IPU is eligible for scholarships.
So, sir, another question is that I'm living in Ghaziabad, so can you tell me some good institutes near in Ghaziabad? That's what he's asking. Probably we can cover Noida as well.
Well, there are IPU affiliated colleges in East Delhi, in Noida, in Greater Noida, in Ghaziabad also. So you can you can watch the list of affiliated colleges. I'll not name any colleges, but yes, there are colleges. I'm sure there are colleges in Noida, in Greater Noida. I'm sure about that. So the best advice is that you simply visit those colleges and they'll guide you for everything. The best is that you visit, right? Because once you visit, then you see everything, you come to know about each and every detail. So what I suggest is you simply visit your nearby college. And yes, there are colleges in Noida. There are colleges.
Sir, another student, he is asking how many percentage of students in IP University have been placed in general?
Well, as I said, professional courses have great demand as compared to academic courses. So if I say 100% placement, then it will not be a wrong figure, because eventually, you know, maybe say some students get placed while they are completing their course, some get placed 2 months after completing their course, but eventually a student who has done a professional course is bound to get placed in the present economic scenario, wherein the demand for professional courses is huge. Say, for example, BTech IT or BTech Computer Science, the demand is so much that colleges will not be able to provide that much supply in the coming 30 years. That much is the demand of digitization, and that much is the demand of BTech Computer Science engineers. So the demand for professional courses, as I said, in the post-liberalized, globalized, privatized era, the government sector is shrinking, the private sector is expanding. And private sector needs what? It needs students who are professionally trained. They are ready to work. They join and they start working on day one. This is what they need. And this need is provided only by a professional course, not by an academic course.
Right, sir. Sir, another question is, are there any student exchange programs available?
Well, student exchange programs are there. You can go for internship to any other country, or the faculty may come from other countries. But yes, there is another kind of student exchange which is not there in IP, and that is that, say, in a BBA, 2 years in India, 1 year abroad, that kind of like program abroad, international exchange program, is not there in IPU, and there's a reason for that. The reason is, while you do degree in a fragmented fashion, 2 years in India, 1 year abroad, there is a problem pertaining to recognition of your degree. So that is why, like, we live in a context where recognition plays a huge role. So if someone asks me, like, is your degree recognized or not? So if I'm faced with such a question, I'm not going to go for such a degree. So IPU does not have courses wherein 2 years in India, 1 year abroad. That kind of international collaborations are not there. Yes, internships abroad, professors coming from abroad, students going abroad, that is fine. Those exchanges are there. Those international collaborations are there.
Right, sir. Another question by the name of Aditya. He is asking which course is best for doing SSC in future.
SST means social studies.
I'm not sure. He's just mentioned SSC. Aditya, you can probably write it again.
Okay. Oh, sorry, SSC. Okay, it's Subordinate Service Commission, right?
Yes, probably UPSC probably.
Yes, I've got the point. So, well, if you want to prepare for SSC, or in a way, if you want to prepare for government exams, I believe a law course is best, because law course means half of the preparation is done for any competitive exam while you study the law of this country. So for a specific course like BA LLB, in that you will be studying law, you will be studying history, sociology, economics. These are the subjects. So BA LLB is best when you talk about any government competitive exam.
Okay. Sir, another question is IP University also providing the normal degree courses like Eco Honors, BCom Honors, and all those?
Yes, these courses have been started recently, but I can tell you students, IPU is known, IPU is popular, IPU is celebrated for professional courses and not for academic courses. So these
Right.
courses have started, Eco Honors, BCom Honors, but not popular in IPU. So that is why I did not take that in this presentation. IPU is known for professional courses, so I have talked only about those.
Any further questions, students? Because I can't see any other question in my chat window. So any
Ma'am,
other
there
questions?
is a question.
Okay, please.
So the student Siddharth is saying that while getting admission, a student who did his schooling from Noida managed to get around 500 CET rank, but he was not given preference compared to a student of Delhi with 750 rank. So are
Okay.
the students of Delhi schools given some merit over admission with regard to any other state?
Yes, students. Now it's a very pinpointed question in the sense that while you talk about admissions, there's a quota system, and that quota system we call it the 1585 system. 1585 means students belonging to Delhi fall in the 85% quota, and students not belonging to Delhi, or we call outside Delhi, they belong to the 15% quota. But my dear students, here is a very important point. And what is that point? That this quota system exists only till the online counselings are there. So there is counseling round 1, 2, 3. And then there is an important round which we call the spot counseling round. So in the spot counseling round, all the quotas, they merge together. So in the spot counseling, outside Delhi students, they get 100% quota, not 15. So outside Delhi students, if you want to come through counseling, then you have to wait a little. Like you have to wait till the spot counseling. But yes, as I said, why to wait for counseling? Visit the college and get the admission. Finalize your admission tomorrow. The colleges are providing you, because of COVID, this special facility is there. So there are no quotas in this special facility, no Delhi outside Delhi quota. These quotas are there when you talk about counseling. But yes, at the end of the counseling, all these quotas merge and no quota exists. So therefore, the only point is that the outside Delhi students need to wait a little. At the end, in the spot counseling, all the quotas merge. So don't worry about that. That's only a technical point, nothing to worry about that. It's a technical point, but nothing to worry about that. The best thing is you visit a college and go for spot admission.
Right. Vedapriya ma'am, do you have any other question in your chat window?
Not currently. That's
Okay, fine. So I think with this we can conclude the session. Any other questions students have? Okay, I just want to write a number also in the chat box. Let me write the number of the admission counselor in case you have any question, any further question, or if you are facing problems in getting yourself registered on the IP University portal. Like sir had said that 15 July is going to be the last date for you to be registered on the portal. So you can ask directly to our admission counselor. The number is 704-266-7516. So I am writing this in the chat box. Dear students, please note down this number and you can directly give a call on this number. Right, so with this, we can conclude our session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Swami and Shalini and the entire team from Mount Litera's East School, Ghaziabad. We are really, we acknowledge the beautiful presentations and so much of information that was imparted. And we will again request you, Mr. Swami, to please, we may have another webinar lined up with you. So thank you once again. And it will be a great thing if you would share these numbers on my WhatsApp also, so that, you know, we can share it further and the courses that you're offering. It will be great. And thank you so much. Thanks
Thank you,
once
ma'am.
again.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all your support. Sincerely, thank for all the support that you've given us. Thank you, sir. And thank you all the students who have taken out their time on Sunday for this presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks once again. Thank you.
Thank you.